Hello there, it's Jake with Reverb, here to talk to you guys today about some bass lines from John Entwistle, the legendary bass player of The Who. John Entwistle had a truly unique approach to the bass. He was a French horn player before, which I attribute to a lot of his melodicism, playing a lot of lead lines and taking a very soloistic approach to the instrument in an era where a lot of bass lines were really just about keeping the groove. When you think about The Who, right, we've got Keith Moon, who was completely unhinged, who was just playing fills left and right. There's a lot of people that say that Entwistle really functioned as the drummer and the timekeeper in that band. All right, so what better place to start than the first Who record, the hit that started it all, My Generation. Now, something to note about all of these tabs is that John Entwistle improvised a lot on recording and live. These are guides. These are very rough outlines of some of the things that he's playing. Right off the bat, it's pretty strange to have a 2-minute pop song with a bass solo on it, but this was one of the great things about Entwistle. Now, the thing about John Entwistle's basses, yes, he had a lot of them, is that the action was strung super low so that he could get this nice, deep rattling sound, and so that he could play a lot of these effortless figures using sometimes more than just 2 fingers. He would play 3, even 4 at times, getting this great kind of sound in between slap and plucking right here on this B flat. Now, intuitively, at least for me, it feels like a figure that would want to be played like this, right? That's not the way that he played it. He had this great digging into the same note and really getting that nice rattly kind of sound. Something of note as well is that John Entwistle was very versatile both with a pick and with his fingers. Now, there's a lot of bass players that are purists in one form or the other, but Entwistle really shifted back and forth between the two of them. On the recording, it's definitely a pick, but live, he would play it on any given night with a pick or with his hands, right? So it's something that you're gonna wanna be able to explore. Now, one of my favorite things about this figure is the interplay between John Entwistle and Pete Townshend. Pete Townshend's just playing chords. There's no real riff until we listen to what John Entwistle's doing. He's really the foundation that makes it drive and groove in a way that the chords by themselves just can't. Next, I want to take a look at Won't Get Fooled Again off of Who's Next. Now, what I love so much about this bass figure is how melodic the line is in the chorus. It's almost contrapuntal to what Pete Townshend is playing, to what Roger Daltrey is singing. And it's this wonderful pentatonic figure, but he introduces this variety as it wears on, right? First he's got, and he adds this D to kind of break up the figure. And he adds this little trill the second time. Sometimes he throws a C in there instead of a C sharp as a little kind of blue note. And And then just the figure itself in the verses is just so grounding and so strong compared to the almost free way that Keith Moon is playing, you know? It begins with this strange kind of solo figure, this fill thing that he's doing. He's got a lot of these great slides down the bass. Kind of sounds like lasers or something. It's really cool. Looking at this chorus figure though, we got at the end of it here, this fast kind of 16th note thing. Now I didn't completely get that in the John Entwistle style. The way that he would play this, he would use this like galloping 3 or 4 finger technique, and it was almost like he was just throwing his hands at the fretboard. And some of the extra sound and percussiveness that we're hearing came from, again, how low his strings actually were to the fretboard and how they would kind of ricochet between his fingers and off of this wood right here, right? It's a cool technique, but one that you got to be careful trying. Give yourself some nice breaks if you're getting too heavy into it. There's a couple cool things to talk about with this line. One is the kind of the shake he does, kind of like a horn player would, right off the bat in that figure, where it's not quite a trill, right? It's a shake with just one finger, where he's just kind of shaking it back and forth between the frets. The other thing is the snaky way that he moves around the verse, sometimes anticipating the next beat, sometimes landing right on it, but it always feels solid. We always feel grounded. There's no instability in the way that he moves about it, right? So right off the bat, we begin on beat 1. Jump it. And back. We jump it again the whole way through. But it's, again, we don't really lose where we are in the beat. It still always comes back around and feels very grounded to the feel. Now this was a very, very, very small sample of a lot of the really, really cool stuff that John Entwistle played over his career with The Who. And as a solo artist, he was a really, really cool songwriter too. So if you get a chance, check out some of the songs that he was singing on, some of the stuff that he wrote. And I'm sure we didn't get to everybody's favorite John Entwistle lines. So if you have a favorite that we didn't get to cover, please let us know in the comments. This is Jake with Reverb signing off. See you guys next time.